Talvano here for Fansided MMA. I am joined by Impa Kasanganay from the PFL. PFL playoffs are coming up. He'll be competing in the San Antonio card August 4th, taking on Martin Hamlet, the semifinals for the PFL light heavyweight division. Trying to see who will advance on to that $1 million final. Impa, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh man, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
All right. So first things first, I want to talk about your path to the PFL. Obviously, this first PFL season, you competed at middleweight for most of your MMA career, including your stint in the UFC, dropped down to welterweight at one point as well. But you competed with light heavyweights because light heavyweight is the division they have in the PFL. Now that you have a few fights at 205 under your belt, I mean, how has your body been feeling?
Body feels great, man. It's really cool too. I think like there's something to be said when you're fighting closer to your weight, not having to cut so much weight. Like I can enjoy what I eat. I can enjoy this year round. The same time, I think that the challenge to be disciplined is there because I could balloon back up. I could when I played college football, I was 245 at the biggest, right? That I've ever been in my life. And it was like, still in shape. I was able to push, but it's like I could go that way, right? So I enjoy what I get to eat. Like, of course, like my ice cream and things like that. And I think fans I call me eating Reese's and Chick-fil-A. But at the same time, too, it's like how I'm making sure that I'm in excellent shape, able to push the pace. So I like it. My body's recovering well. I'm sleeping well. And I love fighting. I love fighting. So 205 has been a great division for me. And I'm looking forward to this fight and the one after and, finish out the year right.
Nice, nice. Also mentioning ice cream, Reese's, two of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah. There you go. There you
Yep.
go.
All right. Next question, a little bit of a two-parter about your little path to the PFL. Obviously, you went, I think, 2-2 in the UFC, ended up
Mhm.
getting released 2020. I remember a lot of people being surprised when you got released. So, do you
Right.
understand the circumstances of your release? And when did you, because after the UFC, I know you competed a couple of promotions, one in Eagle FC, another fight, and then the PFL had you on for the Challenger Series. So, when did you get that call from the PFL? Second part of that question.
So first part, like with the release, I guess is like it was kind of like a thing that was God's plan, right? I, people come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I don't think you should have been released from the UFC," and like maybe I shouldn't have, right? Like I fought two fights of contender, won them both, 2-2 in the UFC, so like maybe like six fights under the banner, one for like all of that. But it's like I'll tell you this, I was talking to my coach Nick Lenz after my last fight with PFL when I fought in Atlanta. And I was like, man, thank God the UFC released me. That's the first thing I said. I was like, man, thank God. Because, when we found out we clinched that playoff spot after everything like settled out, or we finally got the playoffs, I was like, man, like this fight August 4th, go claim this victory, and the next one, go become a world champion. Yes, there's $1 million that comes with it. But it's like, man, like if you told me then when I released UFC, and I found out too after my last fight, you see like 3 or 4 months later, because like, there was no fights being given. Nobody said
Right.
anything. Like, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see. And then I was like, okay, like, but like it really says everything works together for like those that love God, and I just like I'm happy. I'm at peace, man, and I love to stay active. So PFL, I have that. I like my schedule. There's so many cool opportunities. Like tomorrow, I'm getting flown out to Oklahoma City to do something, and maybe I wouldn't have had those opportunities with the PFL. I'm going like with doing some stuff this century, and like, oh yeah, man, I'm prepared, ready to fight. And I'm always asking for a fight. Like I always say, like, man, PFL could have six fights in a season, in the regular season, and then two after. I love it, but I also get it too. Like, but it's not good for everybody else's body. But I love the fights. Like, I believe personally, for me, PFL is the best place for me right now. And like with the Challenger Series, right? The second part of that question, and blessed to get the opportunity to fight Corey Hendrickson in the showcase fight because I won the contract, but I didn't get necessarily into
Hmm.
the season right away.
Right.
That was cool because then I got to showcase like a full 15-minute review of what I do, how I fight, who I am. And that I think was a big catalyst in me stepping into the season. Obviously, we got the finish on this in the summer, the last fight in Atlanta, and then now the semifinal. So I guess that answered both questions properly.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Now,
thank you.
of course. Now, you mentioned the format of the PFL, and how much of that was the adjustment to that regular season playoff format? And do you agree when they say, it's the toughest competition format in MMA?
Yeah, I think I would definitely say it's the toughest because it's funny. I was talking to Kenny Floyd and he was saying how like a few months ago, it was like people saying the like, and it's nothing against UFC, but you see some of the UFC like they fight, let's say January, be ready to go again by the summertime, right? If you think about it, that doesn't happen to you. Like you got to be ready to go the next few weeks, and it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you sharp, and challenges you to be better, move at a rapid pace. Recovery time's not as much, especially for the people who have to cut a good amount of weight. Traveling different zones, staying organized, getting medicals, getting media. You're consistently being asked questions. You're consistently asking questions of yourself. The coaches are demanding the best of you. Financially, though you are consistently getting money, you also need to be um, diligent with what you have. Um, there's a lot of attention to it because it is the $1 million tournament, right? $1 million season. So there's so many factors to it that like you really must carry yourself as a professional as well, and always do your job. So when you get in there, it's time to fight, no matter what. And I really like that because there's so many different factors, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and how you keep that wrapped up is cool. It's cool to me. So I definitely would say agree that it is the toughest proving ground in all of MMA.
So obviously, after your win over the in the Challenger Series, that first round finish, I guess you were raring to go, because it was only about what 3 or 4 weeks before that next
Yeah,
PFL.
I was happy. I didn't even step out of the cage yet, and then I found out I had a fight. Eduardo, who's awesome, man, he came up to me and said, "Hey, you ready to fight?" Then Ray Sefo as well came up to me and they're like, "You ready to fight in a few weeks? How you feeling?" I'm like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." Thank you. Like I wanted to fight. I was like, I'm not trying to just sit here and wait for the next fight. I wanted to go, and I'm very grateful that I got that fight with Corey Hendricks in Vegas, and got to see how the PFL operates too. That's kind of cool too. I guess it benefited me in a way without having um, point implications because it was a showcase fight that
Mhm.
I didn't. Not that it really changed much about my fighting. Of course, I wanted to finish. That's what I was actually upset I didn't get to finish, but I was more so like, okay, now I can see how PFL operates from a fighter's perspective once I'm in the PFL, and man, they're awesome to work with. So I like it.
It must have been helped, and it felt really good afterwards when you got to compete against Tim Karen, got the second round finish, and earned the playoff spot.
Yeah, for sure, it definitely did. It's like that's what I say. Everything works out together for the good of those that love God, man. God's just been blessing me, man, and I'm living in it. So I'm happy for sure.
So to go back to talk about getting released from the UFC, then you
Hmm.
had competed in Eagle FC, had the weight miss. Do you feel like this run that you've been on with the PFL and this, I think you're on a 4 fight win streak stretching to that one fight you had in between? Does it feel like
Hmm.
a little bit of a redemption tour? Do you harvest any, uh bad feelings to the UFC, or is all it's all right?
Oh man, no bad feelings to UFC at all. I'm actually really grateful. Like I said, I'm grateful that they released me, and not in the sense that I didn't want to be there. I really enjoyed my time, and every time I go to like a UFC fight and I get to see the staff, or like I'm cornering a fight, or I'm with a friend who's fight, like I'm just happy to be there because I see everybody. What's up, y'all? And they're super encouraging, and even Dana White was super cool. I mean, he told me he's like, man, show people who the fuck you are, and I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, he's like, just show it to them, and that was what he told me in my first time Contender Series. Never bad blood. When I corner people, I've seen people that say hello. Like I like it. I think that's great for them. But it's like bad feelings, like like, even Eagle, that was a really good learning experience. Yeah, I appreciate Khabib and all them having that time, even though the promotion's really not around now. But that fight itself, fighting Raymond, was a cool learning experience. I won that fight for sure. I said the decision wasn't mine, and it's cool because like you know I understand what the paper says, but like winning that fight puts me at like 6 fights to kill Cliff, and 5 of 6 of them I won, you know.
Mhm.
And then I had the next fight, XMA versus Jared Gooden, who's a solid fighter, and he's back in the UFC now. Finished that fight and finished the fight in Challenger, won by decision against a very tough Corey Hendricks game, Corey Hendricks, and I'd like that fight back. I think that'd be awesome to have like he's back in the PFL season. I would want to fight him first, or and go get that finish because he's done his thing. Like I didn't finish him out. Like it's nothing against him. It's just like man, he's a great challenge, and to build and to build and to build and to build and to build, man, it makes me very happy. So I'm just like, it's it, it's confirmation that the hard work's paying off, and we'll do the same thing on August 4th and continue to to continue to progress for sure.
Awesome. So now we have a look at that light heavyweight bracket. We got, of course, you. We got Martin Hamlet. We got Jeff Silveira, Ty Flores. Of those three competitors, well, alongside you in the PFL light heavyweight bracket, who do you feel is your toughest competition amongst those three?
Uh, I feel my toughest competition. Man, they all present different challenges in a way, right? Like they can all grapple well. They all throw heat. They all have their shots. I think that the most complete one out of all of them is Josh Silveira, and I respect him. That's who I want to fight. You know, in the final, I will claim his victory on August 4th. And between Josh and Ty, I have respect for both of them. I think that you saw growth in Josh in his last fight, his other fights, and he's a special fighter. He's a good guy, and it's good to see that he's developed in the way he has. Uh, it's most a challenge because he has a full MMA template and he uses it well. So that's the guy that I really respect, and I think he'd be an honor to fight in the final and claim my title, and it would not be no slight against him because of the work he's put in. He comes from a great team as well.
Excellent. So you're going to be taking on Martin Hamlet. He's been around the PFL for a little while now. Competed in the finals, I believe, in 2021. Fell short to Antonio Carlos Jr. So he's got the PFL playoff experience. What's going to be your game plan heading into this battle?
And outwork, out hustle, out fight. And that's what I'm gonna do. Go dominate from the get go. You know, you know, pose my will, be disciplined, be composed, and like let's say honor God and do my job. That's it. Outwork, out hustle, out fight in every single aspect on the feet, on the ground, and you'll see the best version of me that you've ever seen before.
Awesome. Any prediction for that fight?
Yeah, dominate. Get going early. Um, First round, second round finish, and get out of there. Very dominant, dominant victory.
Last thing for me, obviously, we talk about PFL having its world championships yearly, and with that, as you mentioned, the $1 million prize. What would winning that money mean to you, and what would you plan to do with that money?
Yeah. So the what the money means to me, it's like it's a compensation and it's a confirmation of like putting the work in, and that I have the right coaches, the right team, right training partners, and most importantly, God put me in a great position, and that I got to do it with people I love and people that challenge me. And when it comes to what I'll do with the money, work with this company called Live Wealth Finance, Live Wealth Group. It's a financial services company that's like a one-stop shop, and they're guiding me on how to really invest my money so I can grow in a compound rate, compound interest, going in a way where the money starts running on top of itself. I can start really planning my life for the future and setting myself up and helping those around me. And I want to do something where, this is credit to my mom. She talks about I can become world champion, I can do great in MMA, I can be a star, be the face of whatever, like, but if I don't, honor God with it, nor do I, and obviously I should say this first, the first thing I need to do is tithe. But like I say, like the what I'll do with it is that I want to help somebody or some people or something, or there's like a kids a hospital. I'm gonna go over to Congo, go back to to Congo and different parts of Africa, parts around the world where I'm gonna pray on it and just see where God can like allow me to help somebody. Maybe somebody needs help finishing up with school, or um, there's just like there's a natural disaster. It is about to be hurricane season, right? Maybe people are still recovering from that. Maybe there are different things I can like really, really put money in that's going to help somebody grow, that'll serve them better than it would serve me. Because, yeah, of course, you still take care of it. Still have a solid chunk of change left over, and maybe you have $1 million for that day, and then I want it to grow into more. But I just want to help, and I want to do things right to where I can help others and help myself. And man, like, if you ask for like the big splurge thing I'm gonna probably get a new motorcycle, hit the road, and start, and just ride. A new motorcycle, some new motorcycle boots, and a shotgun, and see how far I can go. But there's not much splurging I think I'll be doing, but I'll definitely have a nice motorcycle.
Awesome. Awesome. PFL playoffs next month, August 4th, San Antonio, August 18th and 23rd in New York City. Impa Kasanganay will be taking on Martin Hamlet in the semifinals for the light heavyweight bracket on August 4th in San Antonio. Impa, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.